You know, we're all pretty obsessed with living longer these days. But what if we're missing the point? What if the number of years we live isn't what matters at all? We're about to dive into a pretty radical philosophy on what it really means to live a full life, right up to the very end.
So let's just start with this big question. I mean, we all think a long life is the ultimate goal, right? A blessing. But what if that's a totally dangerous assumption? What if just living a long time without anything else could actually be a curse? And that really gets to the heart of it. The source we're looking at argues that life isn't just about your body functioning. It draws this really sharp line between simply existing and truly living. And that kind of challenges our most basic idea of what life even is.
Okay, so to really get this, we have to look at the alternative. And it's grim. The source calls it the hell of a purposeless old age. It paints this incredibly stark and honestly pretty disturbing picture of what happens when you get old without a reason to get out of bed in the morning.
So, imagine the day starts, and there's nothing to do. Literally nothing. You just sit. The world is moving, things are happening, but you're just watching it all go by.
And then it's time to eat, but there's no real joy or decision-making in it. It's just passive. Food shows up and you eat it. That's it.
The rest of the day is, well, more of the same. Just waiting. Maybe you move from one room to another. Just this silent, aimless patrol of your own home.
And the entire day, the whole cycle just ends with waiting for other people to get back. Your entire existence is hanging on their schedule. This isn't some peaceful retirement. It's like your life is permanently on standby.
Now, listen to the power of this statement. This is what's so wild. The source is saying this state of being isn't just sad or a little unfortunate. No, it's a form of torture. It's a conscious suffering that's even worse than any kind of mythological hell. Wow.
And get this purposelessness, it doesn't just stay with one person. The source makes a really controversial claim about the ripple effect, about how it becomes a burden, a shackle, for the entire family. According to the source, this burden is just immense. A younger person in the family has to give up their own life, their own dreams and future to become a full-time caregiver. The home stops being a safe, happy place and turns into a battlefield of resentment and conflict. And if that person gets sick, the whole family's stability can just completely shatter.
And here's where it gets really provocative. This just cuts right through all the nice things we say about taking care of our elders. The source flat out claims that anyone who says they're happy in this situation is putting on a show. That it's a lie to cover up this deep, deep well of suffering and sacrifice.
The language here is just brutal. The source calls these individuals living corpses. I mean, think about that. Breathing, but spiritually dead. It argues their only real function left is to be a kind of textbook, a living, breathing warning to the younger generations about what not to become.
So, okay, if that's the problem, what's the solution? What's the ideal we should be striving for? This brings us to the real heart of it all, the huge difference between just being an old person and becoming a true elder. Just look at this contrast. It's black and white. On one side, you've got the aged person, no purpose, a burden, just passively existing. And the source specifically mentions their dazed, unfocused eyes. But on the other side, you have the elder. They're driven by purpose. They're a pillar of support for everyone around them. They're vibrant, and they have sharp, clear eyes that show an active mind. So the key takeaway here is, it has nothing to do with your age. It's all about your inner fire.
But this isn't just a bunch of criticism. It's not all doom and gloom. The source actually offers a way out, a path forward. It lays out a roadmap for how to avoid becoming a living corpse and instead grow into a genuine, respected elder. So the antidote to this living hell? It's purpose. But listen, we're not just talking about a hobby like knitting or golf. The source defines a true purpose, in Korean, halil, as a worthwhile task that you do for the benefit of the world, not just for yourself. That's the fuel. That's what gives you a reason to live.
And here's how you do it. First, you have to find that goal, that meaningful work. Second, you have to dedicate yourself to it completely. Third, your whole mindset has to shift from just consuming things to actually contributing something of value. And if you do all that, your mind and your spirit will naturally stay strong.
And this brings us right back to the beginning. Remember those dazed, unfocused eyes we talked about? Well, a person with a mission, the source argues, they keep that fire, that sharpness in their gaze. Their spirit doesn't just fade away as their body gets older, it stays strong, focused, and alive until the very last day.
But here's the final and maybe the most sobering takeaway from this whole thing. The source looks at our society and basically says, we're failing. It sees a world full of people who have grown old, but a shocking lack of true elders, those wise, purposeful pillars of the community. It's a pretty heavy critique of the way we live now.
And so this is what we're left with. A question. And it's not just for people who are getting older, it's a challenge for every single one of us, right now. Are we just passively consuming time, or are we actively building a purpose that will sustain us? What is that worthwhile task, your halil, that gives your life real meaning? That's the question to really think about.